Good morning, students. My voice is audible.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Thank you, sir. So, welcome to the sixth module of third unit, WSDL. So, till now, we have seen the practical way of doing third unit. Okay. So, how we can create a web service. What are all the types of web services? How can we create SOAP-based web service? How can we create a RESTful-based web service? How can we consume them? Also, we have seen, right? So, what could be the underlying work which was happening for the corresponding web services also projected through XML in terms of their request and response messages. Now we are going to show you and interpret you what about those messages, how those messages are created, which is serving the fundamental platform to create such messages, what are all the elements of those messages. Okay, so once you understand that, so from the first chapter that we are discussing, why can't you create your own SOA model, right? Even I am very happy to see that for the assignment 2, most of the students are writing their own uh, instances. So by keeping those aspects, you can customize your own WSDL. You got it? The request and response messages that you can customize on your own. See, the role of security will start from here. Likewise, I could able to convey, because the interception of those messages could happen on the time. It's not about some the role of cryptography won't come into play, or it's not a matter of something called a software obfuscation. So those things are not necessary here. Just if you customize the WSDL for your SOA framework, it's enough. It's more than your security layer, right? But what people will do, there are already available standard recommended by my W3C. Adapt it and use it, right? So WSDL 2.0 is available, use it, that's it. But we have a research flavor in this. We can create our own WSDL for our, we can create our own WSDL for our own SOA framework. We have that privilege to do that, right? Because it is an open source and recommended standard only. We have the tools also, how they have created a WSDL using XML only. They have created, can't be able to create a WSDL using XML. It's very easy, nothing but that. What you have to do, you have to create some set of tags. You have to write the corresponding code for the set of tags in some scripting language. That's it. Okay, so you can restrict. So for example, you are going to work only with the insurance framework, means for insurance framework, what are all the functions will come, list it out, map the functions towards a corresponding keyword. So the corresponding keyword is processed with the actual logic of from some script. For example, add some account number, or mention about the policy expiry date. So they have to send SMS. So likewise, for all the functionalities that you could be able to incorporate some specific tags on this. Okay, so when the policy number is supplied as an argument, it need to return the corresponding maturity date. So likewise, you can customize all those functions and map with your customized tags. That's it. That's the easy way to create WSDL for your own SOA framework, right? So that's the way to carry out for your own environment. So think of that you can move it forward. That is the snippet that I want to convey before commencing this topic, right? So let us recap for the previous session and move forward. Already I have talked about this also. JAX-B2 Marshaller, it's a software. to detect the class fields, right? So which one will be helpful to identify annotation in the program? That is a direct question, right? Which of the option will be helpful for me to identify the annotations present in the program? Even in the previous web service that I have shown you, by putting at symbol, I think in the web service for .NET we have seen, right, WebGet. So we have mentioned with that symbol, right? Even in the previous concerns that regarding SOAP, we could able to see art producers, right? So likewise, we will be using our own annotations in the program. So in that case, which one is helpful for me to identify the annotations available in the program? That could be the question here, right? The answer would be XML root element, right? I think I want to convey this here. I don't want the answers from you here. Right. This one you have to convey because already sufficient number of content has been given about RESTful architecture, right? So what could be the best option? I need your option in the chat. Which of the following is correct about URI, unique resource identification in RESTful web services? Representational state transfer, that's what the term REST. Your options are, let me see the chat, only one option. Huh? Yes, no chats. So there won't be any options. So what could be the best option here? So it will supply both of the above. Because in the resource point of view, it's enough for the corresponding service name to identify that. It's enough. Okay. Resource identification has been hosted as the web service. Both of them are talking about the same point. Okay, so I think you could able to see tutorial is the service name that we have used to identify the corresponding service in the .NET. That's the major concern that here we are talking about. The rest, state and motion of body are, right? It is something like physics, but think of that and let me know. The rest, state and motion of body are, it is something like physics, right? But remember that this is a question from RESTful web service. What does it mean actually, right? I think it is something tough to answer. I'll tell you. The answer is relative. The rest, state and motion of body are nothing but how you are accessing the URL. Or otherwise, we are going to talk in terms of XML, how you are accessing that path. That's what they are asking. Either you are going to access in the absolute path or the relative path. That is the meaning here. Okay. So I think the answer would be on relative path. Using relative path only, I could able to map my event handling along with my service. That's it. Yes, I think this would be known to you. Annotation added as an input parameter to the handler method. Which one that we will add? So they have given 3 built-in variables. Which one is the correct one? That's their question. Which one is the correct one? Is my presentation is visible? Is my presentation is visible? Please confirm in the chat because I am getting some information in my screen. So, and this is the fourth one. So annotation added as an input parameter to the handler method. So what would be the variable that we will use here? So we'll be using path variable, right? This could be the environmental variable for all the annotations. See, even you can configure your own annotation and you could able to create it as an environmental variable. That provision is also available. I think while you are learning your ANT tool, you could able to understand this. As well as while you are going to learn your JUnit, you have the provision to understand how to create annotation, how to call this annotation as a path variable. That you could able to understand. Right? This is also something related to your RESTful web service only. Don't think that it is something like your physics. If a body doesn't change its position with respect to its surroundings, then it's in the state of rest. So what does it mean? Service is identifiable, right? That is the meaning here. Service can be identified from anywhere else without moving the corresponding or without carrying the corresponding code to anywhere else. So to represent that only, this type of things has been given for you, right? So by that, we'll get into today's session. This would be the basic architecture that you have to understand about WSDL. Okay, service description language. So how they are initially the version 1.1 is having the contents, but the version 2.0, what would be the main difference here is nothing but we are ready to work with the interfaces. Okay, we are ready to work with the interfaces. Interfaces are nothing but even from a third party vendor I could able to access, and I could able to give direct reference here. So that is the idea, right? So initially what I will do, by giving my port types, I will just mention the name of the service, that's all. So in that case, I could not able to identify that what type of services are happening. I may know that services are running, either SOAP based service is running or RESTful services running. I could not able to find it out easily, right? Because both of them can be differentiated only during the request time, because RESTful web service will request via URL, but my SOAP web service will request via an XML program alone, right? But both of the responses are based upon either SOAP based or RESTful web services. The response will be purely based on a XML program only. Both of them, both of their responses are same, right? There is no difference in that. So how to identify those things? That is the reason why they have given the term interface, right, in the 2.0 architecture, the new architecture. So how they have given, right? So, and as well as I think in the section of service body, that you could able to see that we are mentioning the term called the endpoint, right? So it's like your so how you will convey service access point for accessing the corresponding service. Likewise, here they are mentioning the term endpoint. Okay, so that's the case. We will see what are all the elements individually, and we will see a complete program generated for a particular web service, and we will interpret it one by one. So what does that WSDL means? So that's a standard thing. Web services descriptive language, description language. So it's a standard actually, right? It was initially developed by IBM and Microsoft. Why Microsoft have showing keen interest on these things means because the role of SOAP was introduced by Microsoft only. That is the reason why the heavy hand of Microsoft is there in the open source side. Right? By keeping that, they are moving forward even in the open source environment. And futures of WSDL, right? So WSDL was entirely managed through XML only. That's a known fact to everyone. Okay, so what it will do actually? So it will give us, it will be like a signboard, right? Where you have to go, what you have to do. That will be mentioned respective to web service. Okay, and also he will give you where I have to plug my content, or where I have to plug my request. So that's also will be identified through my WSDL. So WSDL is a component of a layer actually for SOA management. So the layer consists of, already we have seen, SOAP, WSDL, UDDA. These three are a complete layer. Okay. So UDDA we will see very in depth in the next session, right? Universal description, discovery, and integration. What does the internal framework is being talked about? Okay, so UDDA again. So UDDA, for UDDA, the basic could be a WSDL only. See, WSDL is the basic for entire services environment. Please remember that without WSDL there is no SOA. Please remember that. Okay, so WSDL is the funda one. So how it is going to be pronounced? So that's what they are given. So usage. So how could I able to use it in a proper way, right? So normally how we are using the SOAP request message and the SOAP response message, both of them are being configured through my WSDL only, right? Regarding my RESTful web service, the response message is completely configured by WSDL only, right? So that's the thing that they are ready to convey. So even in the, I think on the day we have seen a factorial program, I am supplying a integer data type through my, for example, 5, right? 5 is the argument value that I am passing, but it is returning me the value 120. 5 is an integer. 120 is the value processed as an integer but projected as a string, because it is going to display it in the text box. So by keeping in that aspect, so how these data types are being managed, how it was known to their request and response messages, that could be taken care of by WSDL. Okay, so that these are all the contents that we need to later over on that. So already in XML technologies, during the first unit we have discussed it. So XML schema also will have a vital role here. how my WSDL file should be. That will be designated by a XML schema. So this will be the key point for you to create your own WSDL for your own SOA framework. First, you have to construct the XML schema for your platform. Once if you have created, through that you can create your own tags. So that's a major criteria to know. When we are going to generate a WSDL, I have to concentrate on these three things. First one is types, second one is operations, third one is bindings. Types means they are talking about the arguments data type, what you are passing, what you are receiving. Right? Second thing, operations. So operations represent what could be the process management. That's what the ultimate content they want to mention here. So, and also in the process management is different for my web service of SOAP, different for my RESTful web service, right? So there could be styles also. I will show you how they are performing this. Second category, the third one, binding, right? How they are associating with the corresponding entries. How they are associating with the corresponding entries. How their association for the application, either it may be a web application or mobile application, whatever may be, how they are associating with them. So when I'm going to create the corresponding service, how they are managing, right? So if it is a SOAP based service, how the bind operation need to happen. If it is a RESTful web service, how the operation need to happen. So that would be managed clearly. Next, WSDL elements. So we are going to see. These are all some of the. I think I could able to convey it as a tags. These are all the tags which are to be used in the WSDL representation, right? So definition. What does it mean? So it will define the root element, right? Normally in the MCQ itself, I have shown you XML root element because that is the one which will help me to take me to the entire part that knows what about the rest of the program is, right? So that's what the term definition it will contain. It will contain everything, right? What is the standard I am following? What are all my child nodes? And what are all my namespaces I am using, right? So everything will be available in the definition part, right? The first 4 or 5 lines of the program. Next, data types. Okay. So when I'm going to give my values, I have to mention the data type. I think you could able to remember in the first unit, I will be giving my data type using XSD colon int. So by that I could able to give the integer data type, right? I could able to mention it using that. Message, right? Nothing but the arguments that what we are passing. For factorial program, that could be the message is nothing but the parameter what you are passing. Next one, operation. Okay, so that will give you the it's like a identifier. Your operation is like an identifier. It will not convey you what is the process, but it will give you the identifier. For example, factorial, that could be the identifier. That's it. But what is the actual logic? Actual logic resides in my server. WSDL elements, the second section. Port type. Okay, port type. So port type means it's from the architecture 1.0. Okay, port type. So that will convey what are all the that will convey, or that is the place where I am going to the type of web service or how I am going to bind. Either I am going to bind based upon my URL or based upon my XML program, right? The port type will give me the clarification on that, whether I have to perform my service decomposition directly or indirectly, or indirectly, right? Directly or indirectly, that will be identified by my port type. That's what. Okay. So binding. So binding will convey me, or will convey the way how to map my port with the service. So that is the content. Again, the port. This is the specific port, right? At which port your service is running, that can be identified. Finally, service, that is the file where my logic resides. Okay. Service, that is the file where my logic resides. Apart from the basic elements, see, these are all the mandatory elements. These 4 plus 4, 8 elements are mandatory elements. Definition, data types, message, operation, port type, binding, port, service. These 8 elements are mandatory elements in your WSDL program. but these two are apart from that. Okay, so utility elements, if necessary, you can incorporate. Like we have an element called documentation, right? It will generate documentation also. I think you could you know the feature of Java Doc. It is a tool which is used in our Java programming language. It will give you the actual functionalities of the program in terms of by generating the what do you call it would be like a help messages, right? What are all the classes present in the program, what are all the variables available in the program, what are all the methods available in the program, what is their access modifier range, everything will be conveyed through the Java tool, right? It will give you the Java tool. Likewise here also we have the utility called documentation. Using this, if you have given documentation, it will convey you, right, what this service is doing, what this port is doing, what port type that we are going to use, what are all the definitions given in the WSDL program. For all the 8 elements what we have seen previously, it will give you the clear cut idea by using the comment line, right? It will convey you what that particular tag is doing pertaining to that application, right? That's very important. So import, it's like our in our Java program or in our .NET program, right? In the .NET program, we'll be using the namespace. In Java program, we will use import java.util.star. Like in the package name, we will mention. Likewise, if you want to import any other external content, that I have to use this import statement. So these are all the 2 utility elements. These are not mandatory, but if necessary, you can incorporate it with the already existing 8 elements in the WSDL program. If necessary, you can incorporate. Otherwise, it's not necessary. This is the structure of the program, right? Definitions. I think this could based upon your 1.1 structure. Okay, 1.1. Because by 2007 they have introduced a new structure. 2.0, 2007. This is on the beginning of the section because only some modifications have been changed. I will show you at the last. So in the definitions, what are all the structures that you have? You have types, message, port type, binding, service. So here we have used only 5 elements. Remaining 3 elements that we have not used. That are all things that are subclassified over on the environment. So this is the basic structure. Okay. So we have seen the explanation of all these tags. This is the way my web service will generate the SOAP message for communication. This is the way my web service will generate the response message for my RESTful web service, right? Likewise, you have to show. See, what does definitions consist of? Right? The service name has been given. That service is using what are all the corresponding entity. So what would be the WSDL file name? That was mentioned as target namespace. What is the namespace standard I am following? What is the SOAP standard I am following? Right? What is the name of my target namespace? That is also being given over there. What is the XML schema I am following? That is given through XSD. So these are all the definitions which are, I think, in that first target namespace and the fourth one, XML namespace : TNS. These 2 are user defined for this program. Rest of the 3 are it's a standard, right? W3 recommended standard to use this. By default, for any program, it will be generated. Only the corresponding file name will get to change. Here they have used hello service.wsdl. The hello service.wsdl is generated for some program. Okay, for some program. So this is about definitions. So 3 standard things will be there always. Only 2 additional things are being generated for the program what you are doing. Okay. Types. Okay, types. So here you could be able to see the types. Here you have 2 data. You could be able to see them. So in the 2 data you have an element name. See the element name, ticker symbol, element name. For that the type is string. As well as you have element name called the price. The type is going to be float. They are mentioning the corresponding data type, and you could be able to see that for what would be the namespace. They are mentioned over on the stock code.xsd. In that XML schema, these symbols will be already defined. These elements are already defined. Trade price request, trade price. Both these elements are being already described in stock code. For that, we are ready to give the data type here. So that's the thing. So for the first for trade price request, that I will be using my string. For trade price, I am using float. These are all the data types. I am using it for this example. So this is the way to interpret, right? See, I will tell you students, you no need to write WSDL program. WSDL program is a generated one. The only thing is you need to understand how they are being generated, right? Whenever any bug is going to be raised, because web services, it's not like your programming language. The compiler will give you the warning and other things. The WSDL file will get to give some erroneous content. By seeing that, you could be able to bug your program. That is the reason why you have to understood in a proper way, right? Since you are all going to work in a place where SOA could be the platform. So in that case, if you want to work with the bugs, because no one will give you their business logic, everything will reside on somewhere else service. Everyone will access the logic through their service only. If the service is malfunctioning, how you will identify? Using this WSDL only, because this WSDL file only, he will carry the parameters flowing between service and application. That is the reason why I am educating you. Please understand this WSDL concept in an effective way, right? So that is the reason why I am explaining each and individual tag. Please follow through that. So types tag will discuss about this data types. Next, message, right? So it's a very clear idea here. The response message and request messages are identified here using the name hello request, hello response, right? They have given that. Then they have given the parameter names, right? What is the parameter name? First parameter name is going to be my first name. Second name is going to be my greeting. It may be the, understand that it may be the name of the GUI control. Name of the GUI control. For example, you are having a text box. The text box, how you will create in your HTML. So by giving the input tag that you will create, in that you will name the text box, right? You will name the text box. How you will identify the text box? By using some name. That name is nothing but this part here, right? So like this. So how my data will be fetched over from that. So I have conveyed an example from HTML. Even for example, if you have created a text box using Swing in Java, that is also being identified through that label, right? So likewise, I could able to convey for all the content, right? So the reason to know or study about the message is from where this, or what would be the source my data is started to flow, right? From which source my data is coming, or what is the variable that they are using for sending the data. What is the variable I am using for receiving the data? Both of them can be understood through the tag message, right? It will help me to identify the variables of transfer. And next one, port type. Okay, what is port type? Here port types are nothing but input and output tags, right? Input and output tags. So to mention that, because by that we could able to differentiate the request and response messages. See, I will show you in the future slides. For example, I want to send only the message. In that case, how I will do? Okay. So such type of notifications can be understood and keep it move forward. So like how you are using your in-out parameter in your procedure in Oracle, likewise, right? So here they are mentioning what is the message I have to listen. What could be the port? See, I think in network you will be using for the corresponding service you will use. For example, telnet, my port number is 80. So likewise, here for accessing the hello service, my port name, likewise I will give hello underscore port type. So that could be the thing. But the role of port type here is to work with these messages. Please understand. Input, output. So types of messages, one way, right? I am sending only the messages. So yeah, input. See the tag input. Fourth tag, input. One way. Request response, right? I could able to see input tag, output tag. What is this fault tag? This fault is nothing but whenever any types of exception is raised during transit, that will handle it. Solicit response, right? See, it will wait for the previous process and it will commence with the new process. Already it have passed one input through its request response. Okay, it will wait for the output. Once it going to come, it will send the input again, right? So in all transactions, first one is my request response, second one is solicit response. It will wait for the previous iteration. Once output has come, it will send the next input. In that case, it is going to come. It is something interesting. Push notifications are being generated based upon this WSDL only, right? This could be the main WSDL that you must know. I think nowadays apps are being doing this. So SOAP binding, there are three elements that you need to know: binding, operation, body. I think this one will give you a clear idea, right? See the body, they are mentioning about the service. What is the service that they are going to use that? And you could able to see what is the service that they are going to use here in input as well as the output. They have given the two tags. Already in the previous port section you have studied what is the message that you are going to pass. In the previous section you have seen what is the parameter name they are going to pass. Everything will be mapped with this body. As well as one more point here you have to see is the style of passing the data, binding style. Nothing but here they are mentioned as RPC, right? In this place only I could able to know about that what type of web service they are using. RPC means general, right? It is a theoretical one. In this place SOAP will be there. If I am going to use SOAP based web services, in this place I could able to see RST or REST. I could able to understand that style is nothing but RESTful web service. This is the place it will change. So in this place they may substitute RPC or SOAP, or they may use my REST. Either this any one of this category they will substitute and use it. So this is the port tag, right? They'll mention the location from where I am accessing. Simple thing idea is from where my corresponding service resides, how could I able to access it? So that is the idea that port tag will be used. So service will tell us from where I have to access service, which port I have to access, what could be the messages to be communicated, right? So this could be the basic one, but already we have seen as a big program, a complete program. These are all the individual constructs of that. Okay, this is the thing that the recent case that you have to work with. How this WSDL is being transformed now. Okay, meaningful web services are going to be designed. Till now we are learning UDDA, WSDL, SOAP. What is the second stage? Semantic web. So how you will create semantic web services? This is the recent technology that you need to understand. For that, UDDA, WSDL, SOAP are basics. What you have to learn, RDF and OWL, right? Ontology frameworks. These are all ontology frameworks that you have to learn. Ontology frameworks if you want to work with the semantic web services, right? So that could be the case. By that, I'll close today's session. If you have any clarifications, you can post it in the chat.